In today's video, I'll be sharing my worst experiences going through airport security. Mainly because you may find these stories entertaining, but also to help you avoid making the same mistakes on your own travels. Please don't forget to give this video a quick like if you do enjoy it, and also leave in the comments any experiences that you have had. They may help me feel better about things like being topless in an Indian airport. I'll be telling these stories from least terrible to most terrible, with the first one not being too bad, but a situation that you may very well find yourself in, so definitely don't skip this one. In hot climates, it's pretty common to just wear sandals or flip-flops onto the plane. I did this once, and only once, on a flight from Cambodia to Thailand. It was while I was in the security line that the glare from the airport lights caught the ground, and all you see are just hundreds upon hundreds of footprints all over the ground from all the people that were taking off their sandals and then walking barefoot through the security scanner. It was the first time that I really looked around me and noticed how gross feet are. I vividly remember this one elderly man who was directly in front of me, and he took his shoes off and his feet were just not in good condition, and there was this big growth on the side of his... I'm sure you don't need all the details here. But there are a lot of things that you can catch from foot-to-foot contact, and the thought that there's all of these people moving through this security line barefoot and you have no idea when the last time these floors were washed is a little bit concerning. So if you are heading somewhere warm or down south, don't wear your flip-flops and your sandals, because you likely need to take your shoes off to go through the security scanner along with everybody else. I always try to bring a local beer home for my brother to try from any countries that I've been to. And usually, if I have a checked bag, I'll put it in my checked bag full so he can actually try it. And this is a very stupid idea, by the way, and incredibly risky. But in this case, I was leaving China and I had some very strange can of beer. They have incredibly strange beers and sodas, and the labels are just hilarious on some of them. So I had this beer can, it was in my carry-on bag, and I knew as I was in the security line, shoot, I'm gonna have to dump it. I went to go dump it, and it ended up exploding all over me. And I proceeded to spend a 10-hour flight as a sticky mess and smelling like quite the alcoholic. I also have celiac, which means I'm allergic to most beers, and that made the smell even more just nauseating. The worst part is that in the mess of all of this, with it exploding, I ended up dropping the can into the garbage can, so I couldn't even bring it home. But on the bright side, I was originally seated with a mother and her daughter, so I was at the window seat, the daughter was in the middle, and the mother was in the aisle. And then when the flight attendant came by, the mother leaned over, I think her name was Karen, and whispered something to the flight attendant. They were both moved, and I ended up with the row to myself. Not bad. I have lost many souvenirs and gifts to airport security. Most of the time it's my own fault. One example would be Guatemala. I was bringing a whole set of hot sauce back with me, and I had it in my carry-on. Obviously hot sauce is going to count towards the liquid limit. I don't even know what I was thinking. I only mention this one because hot sauce is an incredibly common gift, so if you are going to bring it, put it in your checked bag or make sure it is compliant with the liquid rules, which is giving you very little hot sauce. Anyway, a time where I did not expect to lose a gift was when I was flying home from Uganda. I had bought my family these tiny hand-carved gorillas, and I ended up wrapping them in multiple layers with newspaper from Kampala. The gorillas were wrapped in multiple layers, and then whoever was opening it had to complete a word search or a trivia question or something like that. It was very elaborate in order to get to the next layer and eventually to the gorillas. It was going through the security line that I was flagged for a random search. This always happens to me, and I blame it on having a Chinese visa in my passport. I have no evidence of this, but it's rather suspicious that I get that visa and then every single flight after I am randomly selected. I had to go for additional screening, at which point an agent unpacked my entire bag and found these suspicious little packages wrapped in newspaper. He ended up unwrapping all of them, and it was quite painful to watch my hours of work that I put into wrapping these. I did get to keep the gorillas in the end. But the moral of this story is do not wrap any presents in advance. If you do, put them in your checked bag. If they're valuable, don't put them in your checked bag, keep them on you. And know that if you do get flagged for anything, even going over your liquid limit, they're likely going to have to unwrap these gifts. Speaking of gifts, if you travel frequently, you've likely missed many birthdays, weddings, holidays, and like me, have tried to bring things home with you from your travels. This isn't always the best idea, as you can see from my previous stories, and also what you're bringing is likely not going to mean very much to the person as it does to you who actually had that experience. While you might not be traveling at the moment, it's likely you're in a situation where you are apart from your family and friends and might not be able to see your mom on Mother's Day this year. That's why I'm excited to have partnered with Ana Luisa on this video to share with you what I will be gifting my mom from a distance, and also hopefully inspire you with some unique ideas of your own. My mom is my best friend, my role model, my occasional travel partner, and all-around absolute superhero. So I wanted to get her something special, and I was inspired by the ring that her and my dad actually gave me 5 years ago. I've never taken it off, and I still smile every time that I look at it. I wanted something like that she could have from me. Her style is very similar to mine in that she likes to wear jewelry that is minimal quality and will go with pretty much anything. So naturally, I thought of checking Ana Luisa's website first, since it's the only jewelry that I actually wear, mainly because of the designs, but also because you are getting the best quality for the price that you're paying. Their designs start at just $39 and they come with a 1-year warranty. So you're truly getting the best bang for your buck when it comes to value, quality, and price. The decision on which one to get her was easy. I knew the moment that I saw it, and it's still available. This one. It's two interlocking circles, which represents being together or at least connected in some way forever, which is definitely how I feel about my mom. And apart from anything that it symbolizes, it's also just very cute and would truly go with anything. I also may have treated myself to some earrings to take advantage of the 15% discount that Ana Luisa is currently running. The discount is still running now, and I have the link and any information that you would need down in the description. Just keep in mind that if you are ordering to the US, try to do so by May 5th to make sure that the item arrives by May 9th for Mother's Day. And moving on to my absolute worst airport experience. After days of being sick in bed, it was finally time to board an overnight flight out of India. I had awful food poisoning and literally had not stood up in 72 hours, but there was no way that I was missing this flight, having to pay to rebook a new flight, and having to spend more time in this city that I was just not too fond of. I made it to the airport, to the security line, and I could see my flight boarding. I knew just on the other side of security, I could at least sit down and just curl up and die in my own little airplane seat. When it was finally my turn, I put all of my belongings inside the tray along with my rain jacket, and then I went to go walk through the body scanner. I was stopped, and they told me that I must take my sweater off. So usually this wouldn't be a problem. But in my rush, I actually wasn't wearing anything under this sweater. Nothing. I explained the situation, and the agent put me on the side to wait for the next available female agent who would do a pat down instead. This was a little confusing because at the time, I'm not sure if this is still the case in India, they would actually separate men and women going through the security lines. So all of the agents around me were female agents, and I wasn't exactly sure who I was waiting for. 5, 10, I don't even know how many minutes passed, but they were doing final call on my flight. So I'm standing there watching the final call sign going off, and I'm trying to get the attention of any of these female agents to do the pat down and let them know, like, I really need to get through this line. Completely ignored me. So my option at this point was to wait and take a chance that I could still somehow make my flight by the time they came over. And in the meantime, I may end up risking a much more embarrassing situation considering my stomach was not doing well. And also potentially having to pay at least $1,000 to rebook this flight, get another hotel, and again, spend more time in this city alone, feeling absolutely terrible. Or I could just take my sweater off and go through the scanner. I'd love to know what you would do in this situation. Comment wait if you would wait, or scanner if you would just screw it and go through the scanner. I opted for scanner. At which point I went in front of the scanner, unzipped my sweater, zipped it back up very quickly to show the agent why I wasn't taking it off. So yes, I flashed the security agent, which led to me getting a pat down. A very aggressive pat down with a lot of yelling and all these comments that she was making to her colleagues in a language that I did not understand. It wasn't until the last thing that she said to me that I did understand, when she yelled in my ear, "Go!" gladly. I made the flight. It was horrible. 12 hours on an overnight flight from India. When you have terrible food poisoning, it's just not pleasant. But it also taught me to never book the window seat on a long haul flight, because the luxury of an aisle seat where you can get up and sit back down as often as you want is just priceless. At the end of the day, I don't have too much to complain about, given that these were my worst experiences from over 100 different flights. They were also all due to my own mistakes, so learn from me and maybe check out my video on TSA mistakes before your next trip. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button before clicking off. Don't forget about that Ana Luisa discount in the description, and I will see you next time. Safe travels. Bye.